He was the
Video
neighbor who
footage
lived
of
right
Jordan
across from
Willis
Jordan
being
Willis, who just
detained
by
the night of
happenstance
the
looked down at the
incident.
exact moment that 911 was being called. Ashton, we know now that that was Clayton's fiance that actually discovered those bodies, called 911 and alerted the authorities. Just walk me through what you saw in that moment.
So basically, I was just going, turn off all my lights. I was getting ready for bed, locking the doors. I went to lock my front door, and I saw a woman come out of the backyard on her phone, and she looked distressed because she kept looking back towards the house, and I thought it was weird. But I just moved in, so I really didn't know much, and so I just went back to my room. 10 minutes later, I saw an ambulance drive by, and I was like, well, that's just weird. Something's going on. Went to the front room, looked out, and I saw that there was already 3 cop cars, and there was a man detained, and the woman was talking to the other police. And basically, I kind of watched that conspire for an hour or two. The man eventually left. The police searched the house, went through the backyards and everything, and I had no idea what had happened. And the next morning, I saw the news that they had found 3 dead bodies, and I just was kind of in disbelief. I was like, wow, I watched that happen.
Right, and actually we're looking at that video that you shot right there on the top left corner of your screen. So basically you're saying that's the video where you're actually looking out and you can see Jordan Willis being detained.
That's probably within the first 5 to 10 minutes. I was like, oh my goodness, something serious is going on at least. So yeah.
So your red flags were going off in that moment, but even before that, right? Because you saw some of these victims' cars that were right here parked in front of your house, and that also kind of alerted you, right? Because that was unusual.
Yeah, we had just moved in, but that week we had never seen those cars there, and then all of a sudden that whole weekend there was cars parked right in front of our drive, and they never left. And they stayed there until the police came, and even after that we found out they were deceased. Yes, those cars never left.
And obviously that was something that raised your suspicions at all. Tell me, I know you hadn't lived here for very long, right? But tell me at all about Jordan Willis, what you know about him. I mean, did you ever see him out and about? Was he friendly? Did he come by and talk to you ever?
Honestly, I've never seen him out. I never saw him or talked to him, so I cannot speak for that, honestly. I do not know.
How about the fact that just something that is so strange, this case in general is bizarre and we don't have many answers, but the fact of the matter is 3 men were outside for 2 days on this backyard, one sitting up in a chair, 2 laying down on their backs, frozen to death. I mean, how do you wrap your mind around all that information?
It's a lot, honestly. I imagine it has something to do with a bad drug or something, but it's strange that how long it occurred for people for something to notice like that. If it happened on a Sunday, that's a long time, and I feel like something should have been said, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's hard to say out loud because you don't have all the information, but the fact of the matter is 3 men are now dead. Does it feel like you're getting, or your community is getting, the answers it deserves right now? That seems to be the big issue that the families have, is it just doesn't feel like they're getting closure because they're not getting answers.
Yeah, I feel for the families and that they just want to know what really happened, and I feel like if we need to know, we need to know. I'm sure answers are going to come out, but I know a lot of people are wondering what happened around here. That's for sure.
What is the talk of the town? How are people talking about it still? Because no doubt about it, the whole world is looking at this case and talking about it. So how do you and your friends talk about it, process it, work through this whole story?
We just kind of sit down and talk about it. Sometimes we're just randomly, we'll be talking about like what could have really happened. Like how do your 3 buddies, just you not notice them for 2 days outside in the backyard? So it's really strange for me and all of our friends. It's really hard for me to say, but I feel like it had to have been just maybe an accident. I don't know. It needs more investigation, though, I think.
Ashley, hang tight. I think Ashley Banfield has a question. Go ahead, Ashley.
I do. I don't think he can hear me with an IFB, but if he can't, pass this question on. Can you ask Ashton if he saw the bodies coming out of the house? Because we learned tonight on Chris Cuomo that the father of one of the men knew that one of the men was died or frozen in a position in a lawn chair on the back porch. And I wondered if he saw gurneys come out with 3 bodies, or if he saw something unusual in the position of the bodies that were brought out of the house.
Sure. We want to know what you saw beyond those initial things that you've shared already, in specific about the bodies coming out of this house. Were you still awake at that time? Did you witness gurneys or medical examiners actually coming out with these bodies or taking them out?
So I actually did not. After that, everyone kind of cleared out. So I didn't know what had happened. So I just went to bed. I thought it was just a misunderstanding or something between a wife and a husband, but that wasn't it at all. So I went to sleep, went to work the next day, and when I was at work, I got an email or a message from a friend, sending me the picture of the article about the dead people, and I was like, oh my goodness. So I honestly did not see an ambulance actually gurney anyone out or anything.
What do you remember about the conditions during those days here in Kansas City? Obviously, these bodies were found frozen. Do you remember it being cold, freezing? Obviously, you saw this woman talking on her cell phone at night, 10 o'clock at night in the winter weather, and so that raised your alarms. But what do you remember just about the temperatures or the weather around that time?
It was cold. It was really cold. I had gone hunting that Sunday, and we hunted a pond, and we actually had to put pretty much an ice prop in there to make the pond open. So I mean, if that tells you anything, we could walk on the ice. That's how thick it was. So I mean, it was definitely below freezing, and not temperatures you want to just be outside hanging out in with no clothes.
Yeah, enough to raise red flags. Ashton, thank you very much for sharing that insight with us.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com.